going on, Lyle?
Not much, buddy.
Oh, let me turn my volume up. I didn't hear you there.
I turned that off a while ago, but it got turned back on.
Yeah, we're all good. Well, we're live, buddy. Don't say nothing you shouldn't.
Oh, come on.
Wouldn't be the first time. Welcome, everybody, to Panfish Station. My name's Mark, the co-host of the great Lyle Stokes. What's going on, bud?
Hey, not too much. Just kind of going through some stuff here that I laid out for tonight's show and still celebrating our election wins. I'm very happy with the way things went. And not just for the big government stuff, but for all the little stuff in my area went really well too. So I think the majority of the people have really been woken up now and are tired of seeing the same old, and they want something that's going to benefit the majority, and I think so. We'll see. We could all be wrong, but I don't think so.
I think people are just tired of struggling paycheck to paycheck, and they're hoping for some sort of future, and they're willing to do whatever they feel they need to do. I've been watching everything playing out on Twitter all week and since the election, and it's been pretty crazy. But hopefully through the chaos, we'll find understanding and everyone will flourish.
I hope
going forward. I hope that's so.
That's what we want. That's what we want. Make it better for everybody and get things back to some sort of normalcy.
My crypto went nuts this week. That's all I'm going to say. I'm a happy man.
I know another guy was talking about that the other night too.
Yeah, I did very well. It was a good day. I had a kind of crypto week like Creole, which I see in chat, had fishing the other day.
He had a good day.
Got me a PB in that line of work.
I'm glad for you.
Or it was in Creole's boat, that's for sure. What do you say? I say hello to the people in chat, Lyle.
Let's do it.
Let me get the list up here. All right. I see Benoit Fishing Outdoors. What's going on, Gabby and Allison? How are you guys doing? Crappie Day Dash. That dash part always messes me up. Or Darren, I'm sorry, Crappie Day. See, I told you it messes me up. Yeah. Crappie Day Darren, channel supporter, member. Thank you very much, Crappie Day. There's Creole Catfishing. Congratulations to you and Andrew. Dan, who's that? Danny? I think that's a new one. Oh, holy smokes. That's way over there. Danny Skay, I think. Thanks, Josh. Now I get it. I know who did that. Craig Burgess in the house. Mike Irvin, how you doing, Mike? Mike Sampson, what's up, Sampy? There's Miss Jody, Pontoon Jody, how you doing? Schmieder of the Cedars. There's Team Snag and Whiskers. Dustin, how are you doing? There's the Weekend Angler, Josh. How you doing, Josh? Frank over at Twisted Fishing TV. Fishing with Jeff Beal. Also, thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate you. We love having you here every week. Did you hear what he tried to do to me?
Who?
You know who. We'll talk afterwards. Tried to set me up with one of them names. He got me to. Benoit. Sorry, Benoit. I told you I used to work for a dealership called Benoit. Forgive me. It was spelled the same way. And Josh, do you forget how my last name is spelled?
Maybe he can say it.
Maybe I should start a channel and call it Psherbish Outdoors. What do you think, Lyle?
There you go.
No one will ever remember where to go to find me. That's for sure.
You never know.
So did you do any fishing in the last week, Lyle?
I haven't since last week. I haven't this week yet. I was going to go yesterday and didn't, and then I thought, well, it's going to rain tomorrow. I'll get up early in the morning and go. And when I got up this morning, I said, well, they changed it and it was going to start raining at any moment. And it did. About 1:30, it started raining. And we got quite a little bit of rain, but it didn't come they'd move it back an hour. And then I think, well, I can't get there and fish. And then they moved back another hour. I was kind of pissed about it, to be quite honest, but it is what it is. But I got a few days here of decent weather because next week we're going to be 40s and below.
I got 45 right now. When I was out, I went out fishing. Was it yesterday? We can talk about that in a second. My dad has been in a hospital since last Thursday or Friday. I don't know. So I've been there every day. It's been kind of a long weekend. It's been kind of rough. So we got that under control. But I decided to go fishing yesterday. Danny Stone, I want to give a big shout out to Danny. He won the jigs that I was going to custom pour for him last week's show. I got them made Monday night while watching Catfish Weekly. Got them mailed off to him today. So thank you for your patience. Betty Jean got her package mailed over the weekend. Since she's a close friend, no, it wasn't rigged, folks. I was able to ship that stuff directly to her house, so that worked out well for me too. So congratulations to the people that won last week. That stuff, Danny that knows that stuff's on his way. I have to say they turned out pretty nice, Lyle. I might have to send you a few.
Okay, sounds good. I got I was painting jigs earlier in the week. I painted a few last week. I painted some this week. I had some that I had to send to a little boy and got that all taken care of. And I need to pour some. And maybe if it doesn't rain, maybe I'll pour some tomorrow because I don't think it's supposed to rain. But after today, I don't know if I'll go fishing tomorrow or pour jigs, but I need to do both. So one or the other is going to happen here pretty damn quick.
I'll be doing that most of the winter. That's my kind of way to decompress, go out in the garage, watch a little YouTube on my iPad and pour a bunch of jigs and just breathe in that lead while I'm pouring. So
Greg Burgess said they got 4.6 inches today.
Oh my goodness. If I'm not mistaken, Greg lives down south, doesn't he?
I think he does.
We just started getting rain. Just a few minutes ago, my dogs are outside and these little brutes behind me, I think they're back there behind me. I don't know. They're back there somewhere. They're not too fond of rain. They don't like it. They'll jump in that pool or the sprinkler, but if it's raining outside, they want nothing to do with it. And it happened to start downpouring while they were out there. I've never seen them go crazy, go so crazy at the door of my life. It's like they're getting ready to hop in the truck or something. It was insane. Hi, Laura.
That's the better part of that family.
That is. So I went fishing. It was 42 degrees when I got out there at about 10 in the morning. Wind was, my weather app read, what did it read? It read like 3 miles an hour wind. I got out there and it was ripping down that river. So it was kind of rough. I don't think that had anything to do with the bite. That it didn't have as much to do with the bite as the water temps did. We still need a 5-degree drop for them channel casts to get stacked up and suit the super feed on, because this time of year they're usually pretty cooperative, getting fed up for the winter. And I ended up picking up 2 channel cats, grateful for those, but I was marking fish and couldn't get them to bite for anything. Some of them might have been carp, but they all couldn't have been carp. I was marking a ton of fish, ton of bait fish. I was fishing structure. I tried everything. I was out for 3 hours. I think I moved 6 times, Lyle, quite a bit, looking for active fish.
Yeah, I jumped in there for a while, but I only seen you move a couple of times. I didn't see you move that much, but we're going to have pretty nice weather up until next Wednesday. And then it's going to get down in the high 30s, low 40s. So
there's Living Life Daily with Jay. Says, Catfish and Crappie, I am a sub of yours. Great to be here. New subscriber. Good to see you. Jay he was in my live stream on Tuesday. It was good to have him. So
absolutely. That's awesome.
Also, Bugman22. Bugman says, Lyle, I got the book Catfish Country. Life and Times in Catfish Country, I believe. Really good stuff. Yeah, like I was saying, it's one of my favorite winter reads for sure. Also, I did get a new book here, Lyle. Sitting right here. I haven't had a chance to start reading it yet. I got this on recommendation. Henry Winkler's. It says, I've never met an idiot on the river. I beg to differ, but I'm looking forward to reading the book.
I can't agree with that 100%.
I can't either. We
had
had
a lot of great folks.
So I only showed that off because Bugman had mentioned that book, which is a good book. Also, I've been reading. I got a In Fisherman subscription on my iPad, so I've been kind of hitting a couple of issues that I've been missing while I was in the hospital. So I definitely did some catching up there. So
Chadwick sent me a message, says Matt Gaetz was nominated as Attorney General.
yes, he is. That happened earlier today.
I think that is a great choice. I don't know how hard they're going to fight him on that, but I think it's a great choice.
We will see what happens.
It's all a game from here on out.
Yep, pretty much.
So, anywho,
Bugman says he got Life and Times in Catfish Country for $7. That's a heck of a deal. I think I paid $15 when I bought mine.
that sounds about right.
And he says he just read that book too that I haven't up. So hopefully it's a good one.
Yep.
So today's topic, downsizing baits, Lyle.
Yes.
In the winter, we know that a lot of fish, especially panfish, switch over to eating invertebrates more through the ice, which is why ice fishing jigs and plastics are so darn tiny. I meant to go out to storage and get at least my ice fishing tackle box, not the tackle box, but I got sets of jigs that I keep out there in storage with my other stuff. I'm kind of looking over here to see if I got something. I don't believe I do. No, unfortunately I don't. But they're tiny. They're small jigs with a big price tag, Lyle. I'm not going to lie.
I don't understand that, but I do know that it is true.
When you're looking at $7 for one jig, it's a lot.
You know what I'd tell them guys?
Get bent?
Not quite, but close. Yeah. Yeah, I don't pay $7 for one jig. Not when I can make them a lot cheaper, and I would trust mine further than I would somebody else made.
And they are made out of tungsten. They're tungsten jigs too. Tungsten used to be a lot more expensive than it is now. I've seen a lot of now Josh and Chad are going to love to hear this, but I know bass guys are making the move over to tungsten.
Josh and Chad, both them and Dockery all fish for bass. I try to help Dockery out all I can.
Hey, bass make tasty sandwiches, don't they?
They do. They do. I can give you a little example of downsizing when it gets cold.
All right, let me know.
Now, I'm going to be talking about bluegill fishing. And this is the size plastic that normally used for bluegills when the weather's good. They work really well.
Uh-huh.
Or jigs, just smaller than that, hand ties, just smaller than that. But if you want to catch them, the colder it gets, the smaller you want to go. And these is what I was using the other day.
Yeah, quite a difference.
Quite a difference. And you could have kept fish off of these the other day. Now, there will become a time before long where these will become a moot point. You know what I mean? They're not going to work. But I have found that when they're not working on the bottom, and sometimes they don't work on the bottom, if you'll suspend them underneath a bobber, almost any kind of bug will work underneath a bobber. And these are the size plastics that I really like.
Yeah, let me get you back on solo here.
On a 1/64th or 1/80th ounce jig head.
100%. I use what's called a wedgie in that size.
Yeah, that's not the wedgie.
I know, but they're called wedgies. There's a place out here called CNC Baits, I believe it's called.
CNC? Okay.
And they make little rubber triangle wedges. Oh, wait. Hold on. We'll give you a solo layout once again here.
These are 1 inch long.
Uh-huh.
And they work really well under a bobber. And I've got blues and greens and pinks and purples and natural colors and a monkey milk sort of thing, clear with sparkles. I have an assortment of those. And these come from Middle Miss Bacon butts, baits. And she will hook you up with those. She has lots and lots of them.
She was definitely a good guest of ours a little while back. So if you guys want to check out that, you can definitely search on the Panfish Nation channel. Also, who makes some good small baits is Crappie Man. He specializes in a lot of downsized plastics and such. I've gotten. I imagine these work. Hold on, I might have something. I do have, there's no reason why a fly wouldn't work. Not so much a dry fly, but David over at Double Hook Angling made me these. I think I've showed them off before, but these have a little bead on them. I don't know if they float or not, but I'll get them underwater. I'm sure these little ones would work too. Let me fix my camera here real quick because I'm getting upset at how this is working. This is just an effect on the camera. So there we go. Let's see how that looks. Can you see that a little better now, Lyle?
Yep. You just need to give you this.
There we go. I got these from David over at Double Hook Angling. Something about that size. Now, if you can see like my finger, they're tiny little ones. These are from Kim Burnett. Kim Burnett made these for me too. These are some nice ones. So I'm looking forward to getting these used at least once before season's over. So
I will get the flies in a minute. I've got one more little jig that's a killer this time of year, and that's this jewel right here.
Let me see what that is. Is that one you tied yourself, Lyle?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'll work pretty good.
I've tried every kind of plastic under the sun. I'm even getting ready to go order some more. I don't care what plastic it is. I don't care if it's a Charlie Brewer or if JC is self-made. It won't work as good as hand ties for me. Now, that may not be the case for most people, but hand ties will outdo any plastic that I've ever tried, and I've tried them all. But these work really good, and they're not very big. They're kind of long, and I'm not sure what they represent, but they work. And as long as they're working, I'm okay with that. But when it comes to flies, I will show you a few of the wintertime specials. There's one.
Hold on, we're gonna get you on solo. I'm gonna need to keep my finger on. There we go. I like that.
And it is compared to my thumbnail. So you can see it's not very big. And I have a few more. Here's another one that's similar but not the same. It's like a little bug. Again, that's the size of my thumb compared to it. So
what size hooks are those?
These are 12s.
I have here's a short story. I had ordered
14.
I had ordered some fix this. Oh, there we go. Look at that tiny little thing.
Yep.
I had ordered what I thought was going to be some 12-aught circle hooks, and apparently they were numbered 12 circle hooks, Lyle. They're the smallest little hooks I've ever seen in my life.
Here's another one that I really like. Now, this is tied on a little bigger jig head, but it's still a number 12 size hook. But it's got like a...
Oh, I think my internet's cutting out.
1/16 of an ounce head on it. And I think that will be really good. There's just enough shiny on it to make it perform. It's black, white, and red on it.
Oh, I like the dots on the head of that thing.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of the Wonder Bread jig colors and cold reasons. They actually look like the Wonder Bread pattern. They work pretty good. So
I don't know if we'll be able to see these or not. These are probably the smallest of all, body-wise, but not hooks-wise. But that's a green body. It doesn't show green because of the green screen, but them legs go crazy when you're bouncing that head along the bottom of a.
Very nice. I know I have a couple like that you had sent me that I've done pretty good on. I've caught perch on them. I've caught bluegill. I've caught crappie on them. So they work pretty well. Let me say hello to a couple of people that just came in here, Lyle. We got River Rat 3030. Ernest, I hope you're feeling even better today. Take it easy, get well, do whatever you got to do. Our buddy Jason Lamb is in the house. What's going on, Jason? I haven't seen you in a while, but it's always good to see you. We got Setting Hooks and Crossing Eyes. What's going on, Ryan? How you doing? Let's see if we got anybody else. I think we got everybody covered. If we missed you, please forgive us. That's one sure. So Benoit Fishing Outdoors says, bass were on fire last week. Caught some slab crappie too. Good for you.
It is good. Good
for you. I'm going to go looking, I think, either tomorrow or sometime this weekend, depending on the weather. We're going to go do some searching for some crappie or some perch. So hopefully that'll happen. I don't think I'll go live for that, but I'm definitely going to go to do a little fishing. So Ernest says, Creole, the Catfish King. Hello, sir. There we go. Just kind of trying to get caught up. Benoit. I'm going to have to make a conscious effort to say that name right out of respect for the ladies. Cy Flies makes tungsten jigs. One of my favorites is the Wonder Bread. Yeah, the Wonder Bread's good stuff. I like using Wonder Bread for a lot of stuff, especially through the ice. I use a heck of them. I got a heck of a lot of them. Another jig that I like using in the cold weather, not a jig, but a hard bait. Give me a second. Let me look them up. Okay. I think they're called are they called Rip Wraps from Rapala? I think that's what they're called.
Well, they make so many different ones. I can't keep up with them.
Yeah, there's Glide ones too that that Northland Tackle makes. I'm looking for them.
They make a lot of them.
No, not the Rip Wraps, the Rip and Wraps, maybe. I'm not quite sure. But they're the ones that are about yay long. They got a hook in the nose, a hook in the tail, with a treble hook in the middle. Those hooks are sticky as heck. When you get them in the seat of your pants, you ain't getting them out very easy without having to remove your pants to get them out. They ain't no joke. It's funny that hooks that sticky can lose so many fish, though. That's the thing that really drives me crazy. But they absolutely do. Those are pretty cool because you can vertical jig them and rip them up, and they'll glide down in a little circle, and that drives them nuts too. They're usually in like either a perch or a minnow pattern. I think they're like 2 inches long at the smallest, up until like 4 inches. I've seen them. They might even be bigger than that. Some of them are made out of lead. Some are made out of plastic. Depends on what you want to do. A lot of times this year too, a good thing about the tungsten ones is they're small in profile, but they are still heavy. So you can get baits down pretty quick. For perch, they work really well for banging the bottom, stir the mud up a little bit, and that brings perch in too. So that's something to remember as well. My favorite cold water, when I say cold water, I'm talking 40 degrees and colder colors, Lyle, are like a gold head with a red bait, whether it's a little red piece of plastic, or even if I was to get a hand tie or something, that would be my probably money combination. For some reason here, that works best. When I was ice fishing up until like a year or two ago, I'd always have a bunch of rods rigged up, and that gold head with the red body would always outperform the rest of them. So it got to the point where that was the first bait I'd drop in the water. Jig and wrap. There we go. Ryan knows what I'm talking about. Bugman says Wonder Bread makes great PB and J sandwich. If you toast it up, it makes good BLTs too, Bugman.
That's right. Greg Burgess says they've had over 60 inches of rain so far this year. That's a lot of rain.
That's a lot of rain.
60 inches. I know women that's not more 60 inches tall.
I don't even know how much we got this year. And not enough, that's for sure. Our
Yeah,
water was down a foot, so
everything we got around here is low right now. A lot of them women say they're 60 inches, but they're not.
Creel says, Greg, it's been crazy. Rivers are up and trashy.
Not here.
We had so much wind on our river, fellas, that folks, that I had my boat pointed in the opposite direction of the current. I was still able to stay in place, anchored up with my talon. The wind was so strong. That's how little current we had and how much wind we get this time of year. It makes the Ohio River look like it's ripping. So
Well, that's saying something.
that's saying a lot. It's like a long, long lake, like 18 miles of lake between dams. So
Oh man.
I do better with better current and deeper water too in our area. So a couple of the places I'm going to try. Right up by the dam, there's a big hole. I'm sure Ryan knows where I'm talking about, up by McHenry Dam. That's, I think, 22 to 24 feet deep, depending on the time of year or how much rain we got. We're going to go over there and try. The only thing with that spot is you can do pretty good, but you're fighting your favorite fish, aka drum, off all the time when you're there. But sometimes you got to pick through the trash fish to get to the good ones. So I'm willing to do that.
I tell you something else. If you take a slip bobber and a jig and put a piece of a worm on it right now, that is money. They like live worms. Doesn't take a big piece of worm either. You can use the big pieces, but I see no sense in it.
Just a little piece. If you're fishing for something like a walleye, then in the summer I'll use a whole night crawler. This time of year I'll go down to like half a crawler. So
absolutely,
because they're going to bite you off anyways. So
yep, that's correct. That's fact.
It is what it is.
Do
also,
you use steel leaders for walleye?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I never did either. I was in a conversation with somebody the other day was talking about they use steel leaders, and I thought, man, that seems like a lot of waste of money to me. But what do I know?
Well, speaking of that, I got a leader crimper that I had bought a couple weeks ago. I got some leader material, but I'm going to use those for some catfish rigs that I want to set up with some of the new Whisker Seeker spooks that I got. So we're going to use that stuff on there. I messed around with it a little bit, and it was kind of fun to get that stuff set up. Also, it's nice not to have. I don't know about you, Lyle. I'm the kind of guy that the less knots, the better.
I don't have any trouble with knots, but the sleeves and crimps are a lot faster and easier.
They are. When I say I'm not, my feeling is less knots the better. Not that I don't trust my knots, but that's still another breaking point. Like when I'm hooking up, spooks or floats, I'd rather have that line either go through all the eyes or through the center of a float or whatever without having to tie on to both ends. I can set up rigs a lot faster that way. Also, if you use those clips on the back of those spooks, if you got a good spook that the wire runs all the way through, which will not break on you, like a couple that have. Some of the cheaper ones have broke off on me last year, so I quit doing that. Tying from one side to the other. You put one of those quick clips on there, you can change the hooks out pretty easy. So right now I'm in the process of changing all of my rigs out to like 5/0 hooks and stuff. I'm even going to a small like 6/0 and an 8, not 6/0, I'm sorry, a number 6 and number 8 Aberdeen hooks for this time of year. We're making the downsize for sure, 100%. Even if I was to go buy minnows, I'd buy smaller minnows as well.
Oh yeah.
Especially once the water gets colder, that'll help. Put them on a jig head and kind of bounce them off the bottom to them. Them fish that are going to start feeding on them invertebrates when it gets cold out. They're going to be picking all their food up off the bottom. So that's definitely, at least up here in the north where we get ice, it's usually the way to go. I mean, you can use like a Carolina rig, or a Santee, even like a Santee Cooper type rig. Just getting your baits down there on the bottom pretty much helps. So.
Yep. I see no reason to use big chunks of worm because the fish are slowing down. The colder the water gets, the slower they're going to get around. That don't mean they can't take off and go as fast as they want to. They just don't usually. And when they're looking for food, they're looking for something easy to get. You don't have
And
to big chunks.
they're looking for a lot of it too. They're getting
Yeah.
all fed up, even the bluegills. So now's a good time to get on some big ones right before that winter cool off kind of sets in up here. So if you know a spot that's got decent sized bluegills in it, now's the time to go after them.
Well, I agree. Yeah. And they'll taste
Downsizing
better in
might
cold
do it
water.
too. I'm sorry, Lyle, what'd you say?
They'll taste better in cold water.
They do. So are you a firm believer in that, Lyle?
No, but there is certain fish that do taste better in cold water. I don't
They
think
say,
it makes any difference for catfish.
I've had catfish out of cold water that didn't taste real good. They taste very irony to me. I don't know what it is. It could have just been me. Maybe it was the fact that I marinated them in Frank's Red Hot. I don't know. Just had a metallic kind of taste to them. So I,
I think that crappie is one that is a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit better in cold water. But then again, I've ate them all year round and without never made any difference. But I don't think catfish is any better or worse in cold water. I think bluegill's a little better in colder water. Walleye doesn't seem to make any difference, and maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the way I fix them. I don't know, but I do think that some fish taste better out of cold water and some don't.
I've had some warm water crappie and it wasn't as good. It was kind of mushy. I'm not going to lie. It was a little mushy. So what I've done in the past is in my cooler, I'll throw the ice I'm using, and I'll always bring a box of kosher salt, and I'll actually make a brine, and I'll keep them alive in my live well until I'm ready to to pull the boat home, and I'll pull them off the boat and I'll put them in there, and they'll firm right up, and that seems to help. Is it perfect? I don't know. Does the salt change the flavor of the meat? No, not at all. Once
No,
once once I fillet them, I'm rinsing the fillets off enough. I rinse them pretty good. That any salt that was in there doesn't do them any good. It also puts them to sleep real fast. Them crappie are stiff as a board. So folks, if you go to do that, lay them flat in the cooler, because if they're in a U shape,
they're hard to handle.
they're harder to handle. You can straighten them out, but still.
I really think that putting fish on ice makes them easier to clean.
Agree.
They get firm. They're, like I say, you need to make them flat. But when you go to dress them, and it doesn't matter if it's a catfish or if it's a crappie or a bluegill, when you go to fillet them babies out, they're easier to fillet, and it just works out easier for me.
I had a conversation with Jake Byerline from Jigging with Jake a couple years back, and because he's fishing for crappie all the time, all year long, and he told me that he keeps his on ice overnight and then just fillets them the next day. He wouldn't keep them much longer than that, and I started doing that, and that definitely seemed to help 100%.
It does. Makes a world of difference.
100%. Let's see what Benoit Fishing Outdoors has to say. Wondering if our lakes will do a drawdown, and if so, how low it will be with the lack of rain.
Ours are already drawn down here.
Ours is drawn down too. As of November 1st, they start lowering the chain for the winter drawdown. That's so people can take care of their docks and do whatever.
I find that to be one of the most ignorant things that Corps of Engineers does.
I'd like to talk to one and see exactly why they do it. If I knew why they did it, I would say, but I don't. But I'd like to talk to them and see why.
I have tore up more props and stuff when they think they have to draw them down. When we used to duck hunt all the time, they draw them down, and you get hung in places during the day and have to get out and pull your boat through areas to get them out. The Corps of Engineers, in my opinion, is nothing but a bunch of asshats that have no business with that job.
Yeah. That's why like Creole and the gang down there use those pirogues. They get in and out of them real shallow water and that.
Not where I'll go. When I was duck hunting these areas, you couldn't get them in there. And I know guys say, "Oh, they'll go anywhere." No, they won't. Not when they're drawing out 2 or 3 foot in a day. It don't matter. You're pulling them out. Period. those guys with kayaks and canoes and stuff, when they're dragging them out, you ain't getting anything else in it.
No.
They just they do that because they're worried about about flooding and stuff through the winter, fall months, and then in the spring. That way, there's room to allow the water in. That's why we have dams, you dipsticks. We put them in there for a reason.
What's going on, Aaron? How you doing? Up in the air outdoors. He says double drop shot with smaller weights too.
Yes, great idea.
He says it should be a good week for them too, also with a full moon. There's Danny Stone Outdoors, cold water fish for me. That's just me, Lyle. No offense.
No problem. Everybody's got their own ideas of what and how they like them. And that's the way you should do them.
I'll let you read that one, Lyle, since it's directed to you.
Live on his boat. Yes, he does. It's not a death well. It's a live well. Put bluegill in it, an hour later, they were floating. That is not true. It was a day and a half in there. They was trying to keep them separated. If the guy that tells that story would tell it correctly, but he does not, he makes up stuff as he goes. You have to keep them separated out so you don't have more than what the law allows in your name.
I did not realize that you need to have them separated out. So if I got, let's say I'm walleye fishing with Ryan, since he's in chat, right? And we get on our limit. We get 2 limits. We get 8 walleye, right? We have to keep them separate.
Yes, you do.
I did.
You do in Missouri, and you do in most other states. Illinois, I can't tell you, but you have to have a separator in your live well or whatever kind of holding you have, or have them on stringers. They have to be separated somehow. And with bait, it's like 50. It's either 50 or 150 per person, and you can't have them all together. You have to have them separate from each other.
Lyle, I just got a text. You know what they're texting me now?
I do not.
Apple pie with ice cream on the side, Lyle.
I like that a lot.
See how they do? See how they do me?
I like that a lot.
Crappie Day Darren says, I think it's the firmness. It's better, but I think it says it tastes better too. I'll eat them all though. I'm kind of with you, Darren. Josh says, Danny Stone, glad to see you. Mark was talking about you earlier. I think he was here. There's JG Hill. What's going on, JG? Hopefully you're getting well too, bud. Let's see what Ryan has to say. They draw it down because of the spring floods. If they don't draw it down, as for instance, last year, we would have had major floods. One more day of rain this year, and we would have been flooding. Gotcha. That makes sense too.
That does not bother me. I don't live in the floodplain. One of the reasons they hold water back is so that the people up in South Dakota and above got water. To be quite honest, I could care less if they have water or not. I've got water. Each area keeps their own water. They should not hold that back and draw the Mississippi River or the Missouri River down. That's ridiculous. Most ridiculous thing that ever was. That they can build their own dam on smaller area of lakes, make smaller lakes in different areas on the small. They got plenty of little rivers up there. They don't have to dam up the Missouri River. It's just bull. Let the rivers flow.
Ryan says the Fox Chain has a YouTube channel. Mark. They tell you all about the dredging, everything you need to know. Yeah, I saw the dredging video, Ryan. That was pretty cool. So. Right there. Aaron says, look at if you're using silicone jigs too. In winter, I use a little bit harder jig, and in summer and spring, when the water is warmer, I use a little bit mushier jig. Well, that's good to know.
Are you talking about the body of it?
Yeah, the plastics, I believe, is what he's talking about.
Okay. I did see something the other day that I have yet to get my hands on, and I can't go back and find it, but they're making jig heads now out of stuff like hard plastics and different things besides lead and tungsten. Um, they're getting bigger sizes to get the weight. I'm not sure I like the idea of that, but I'd like to get my hands on some of them and see. Uh, but I did notice that an article about that coming out, and I can't find it now, but I'll run into it again. And when I do, I'll just share it to Panfish Nation Facebook page.
I'm just kind of looking at a message.
Harder to launch by yourself there.
Aaron says, I don't use hair jigs, hair ties, because I hate to lose one. If somebody made it, it's cool looking. I kind of feel the same way.
I tie so many, it doesn't bother me, but they just work better. And I've got guys tell me, oh, they can't catch nothing on hair jigs or hand ties, but they can catch them on plastic. That's great. You can buy them by the millions. They don't cost hardly nothing. But I just don't catch that much on them. Now, the little crawfish, I have caught some fish on them, but it's getting late in the season for that now. So we'll see how much longer they work. But I've yet to be able to tie one crawfish that works the way it should. That I can catch fish on them, but they don't suit me. I've not tied one yet that suited me. So I started trying some plastic ones and found a few that work.
I have all right. I have 3 hand ties that I like a lot. One you sent me, it's a green and chartreuse one with those shaky legs on there. I've caught a bunch of fish on that.
Mm-hmm.
I got an orange and silver. Well, the orange is really dark, almost a red, that I bought from Kim Burnett. That one I like a lot. And I have a white one with a lot of silver in it that I leave the tails a little longer on them. I do great in the spring with them. Now, the way I fish them, though, is I'll use a slip bobber, even if I'm in like 3 feet of water, Lyle. And the reason I do this is I'll put a bobber stop above it and below it, right? Mm-hmm. And what I'll do is whether it's 6 inches spaced apart or a foot apart, depending on how deep I am, every time I pull that jig in, that line comes up through the slip bobber, goes down and stops. It hits the stopper on the way up. It hits the top stopper on the way down. And that kind of causes like a swimming technique or a swimming pattern when you're going through the water. Mm-hmm. And that seems to work really well for me. I've used that quite a bit this year and been pretty productive with it. So there's my one tip for the day. So double stops on a slip bobber and you're golden if you're fishing on the move. So that you can use that with a 1-inch gulp. You can use that with hand ties, bobby garlands, whatever you're using. That's kind of the way to go. Another bait that works really good are the really small panther martins this time of year. For some reason, them little ones are super light. I couldn't tell you how light they are. I think they're down to like, I have no idea. I'd be lying if I knew how light they were. But you can retrieve them so slow, and they're still spinning that fish a lot of times can't resist them. I might have to top one of them off if I go out this week or this weekend and give them a shot. So I like them a lot. Black and gold, too. That's my color of choice.
They as far as I know, 1/32 is the smallest I've seen.
Okay, that's pretty light.
With the numbers 10 or 12 size hook.
Little treble hook on them.
Yeah. Now you can take the treble hooks off and use a one of them circle things to attach a smaller single hook on if you don't like trebles. Lots of ways to do that.
I just picked up a split ring set of pliers that I use this year to replace a lot of hooks on my Berkley flicker shads, which are great baits, but the hooks on them definitely leave something to be desired. So
yeah, and you have to watch a lot of the spinner baits have really, really cheap hooks on them, or they're way too big for what you're trying to catch.
Here's something else I like to do. I'm not I'm not one of these guys that claim that red hooks hurt or help, but they do help me in knowing baits that I've already switched hooks out on at a glance. I don't need to look at them real close or examine them real close, especially if they're smaller treble hooks. So I think that works for me. So if you guys want to use that idea, please do so.
There you go.
Kevin Capel says, went out the other night after it rained, caught a ton of crawlers in minutes. Now is a great time to stock up for the winter.
Now in spring is the two best times.
JG says, going to take the boat out next week for a few days. Fishing, heck yeah, good for you, man. Enjoy. Hopefully you kill it.
I hope to myself.
Crappie Day Darren says, apple pie with cinnamon ice cream. That's not bad either, Lyle.
I thought they was talking about apple pie you drank.
I haven't had apple pie in the blood. The person who texted me that picture, you need to ship me a slice or a whole pie.
I like apple pie with ice cream.
Josh says crawfish work great in cold weather. Is he talking about live ones or those plastic ones? Well, Lyle will let us know.
Both. I'm sure both.
I think Aaron's talking about how I was explaining with the two bobber stops. They definitely do. Especially like I was telling you guys about the ones I tie with the longer tail, the white ones with a bunch of silver in it. The Chanel's got silver flake in it, and the tail does as well. And it works really well. And I highly recommend you try it if you haven't. So they definitely act a lot different.
And remember, if you're having problems with the fish swallowing the hooks, use a longer shank hook, like a 1 or 2 at times longer. And you can just take your finger and push it down, unhook it, and pull it right out there. If it gets down too deep. You get them ones that like cricket hooks, got the real long shanks on them. They're easy to get out of a fish that swallows the bait all the time.
Here's another ninja tip. If you guys ever order Chinese food, get yourself an extra set of chopsticks and cut a V in the flat part of the chopsticks. Take one of them with you, and you can use that V. You can stick it down there and get the hook in that V, push down, turn. It'll come right up. See, she gave herself up. See, she was upset. She needed to get that credit.
I'm not shipping no pie. Come and get it.
I'll trade you an apple pie for a pizza pie, Betty Jean.
Josh said he never tried live ones, but artificial crawls are great in cold weather. There you go.
I've used plenty of live ones.
By the bass master himself.
I was going to say, crawfish here, I've used plenty of like live ones. They call them called pond crawfish are the ones they sell at the bait shop. I've bought them a couple of times. And I use that Richard Jean method that I've seen him use, where you put like a dental rubber band around them, and this way you're not having to hook them. Put it right around the body of the crawfish, and then you run your hook through that rubber band, just like you would wacky rig a worm, and that seems to work pretty good. But the only problem with that is I tried catching channel cat with that, and I couldn't keep the white bass or the smallmouth off of them.
JG says you're giving up all your secrets tonight.
I have no secrets, man. I'll share anything I know with anybody. And if I'm full of crap, tell me, because I'd like to know, because I won't do it again if I really am. So
Josh says that's why you switch to big football jigs for bass in the winter. They eat like crazy. I think he's right about that.
Ryan says, I've used the same handful of red hooks all summer long. Barely any red left on them. Yeah, I got hooks like that too. Now, there's a good topic that we can talk about, Lyle, is how often do you switch your rigs out when you're catfishing or pan fishing? When do you retie, I guess, is the question.
I usually lose mine before I need to retie.
Yeah.
You know, where I fish, there's lots and lots of trees and limbs and grass and stuff around. So, especially if I'm fly fishing, I end up getting it in stuff and losing them. But the jigs and the stuff, it's real rocky on the water around me, real rocky bottom. So you get in there and you get hung up, and next thing you know, you're just tearing it loose. I just tie a new one on, cut the line off a little bit, and go again.
I'll always. Josh just sending me pictures of strawberry cheesecake. You son of a gun. Try not to eat sugar anymore. Quit it, folks. If the hooks are sharp and I'm not feeling any nicks in the line, I'll leave them. I'll run them until I do. It's probably not the best thing to do, but it is what it is. We do have mussel beds that I fish a lot here, zebra mussel beds, not regular mussels. And they're pretty sharp, and I've definitely, dragged baits across them that have not only dulled the hook but put nicks in the line. So I try to make a habit of checking the leaders before I rebait with them, whether it's catfish or
if
even
I'm catfishing, I will check them after every fish, the line, the leader after every fish. And at that point, if I need to, I just tie on them. I have them pre-tied up, so I just tie a new one on. But I don't as much with bluegill and stuff.
Josh says my OCD kicks in when tournament fishing. Re-rig after every catch. Yeah, you can't afford to lose a fish that way.
Not a tournament deal.
Ryan says when I'm flathead or blue cat, I retire every trip, but use the same hook until the hook. I'll retie every trip, but use the same hook until it doesn't poke my finger. Yeah, I have a hook sharpener in my boat that works really well. But you got to remember that if you use chemically sharpened hooks and you sharpen them, you're going to have to sharpen them hooks a lot. So try to refrain from sharpening chemically sharpened hooks unless you want to sharpen them 10 times more than you think. The chemically sharpened ones will last a good long time. But check them. Like the hooks that Freddie sent me are really good. I'm guessing they're chemically sharpened because they're pretty darn sharp. Like those jigs that I sent Danny, they're sharper than a sharp dressed man in the song, but I don't know.
If I'm tournament fishing, I don't ever resharpen a hook. I just put a new one on, and I test every one.
There you go.
For sharpness. If it's dull, it gets stowed away. If it's sharp, it gets tied on. But for just everyday fun fishing, like when I go bluegill fishing, I check them for sharp. It's great, but don't throw them away. And I have sharpeners. I just don't. Hooks are not that expensive.
They are not. JG Hill's got a comment for you, Lyle. I'll let you read that one.
I did not. I did not.
I guarantee you might have a comment or two after you watch it. So I figured
probably usually do here lately on these.
I was going to let you run with that. So
I have not.
So I guess that's good. Downsize them baits, right, Lyle? This time of year, you'd agree?
I would agree. And the colder it gets, the little more often you want to do that.
I'm sorry?
The colder it gets, the more you want to downsize.
Yep, and slow down, definitely.
Definitely slow down.
Ryan agrees with you, says tournaments, new everything. Yep.
That's right. 100%. I'll tie, if we may pre-fish for 2 or 3 days ahead of a tournament, and the night before the tournament, everything new gets retied. Everything.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at swapping stuff out. Usually I'll try you know what, this year I've tried I didn't flathead fish as much as I have in the past. I've retied a bunch panfish, and that's for sure. I've had a lot of problems getting snagged up. I've been fishing a lot heavier cover this year with a lot better luck. So I see in the future that I'm going to have to do a lot of retying, whether I think it needs it or not, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And retying never, to make sure you get good at tying those knots, it'll never do you harm. So
No,
I don't fish
and
tournaments. I don't fish tournaments, so
you should know a multitude of knots, not just one.
Ryan
You may
says
just use one, but you need to know several.
now this is a good point here. Ryan says he cuts 30 feet off of his main line. That makes sense to me. Now, that being said, how this relates to like my pad fishing, when I get a channel cat on 4-pound test, Lyle, I think we've had this talk before too, and that 4-pound test gets wrecked. It gets stretched out. It really becomes an issue. I'll do the same thing. That's one of my main reasons for running a larger sized reel on my panfish stuff. A lot of guys like using 500 series reels. They like using 1,000 series reel. I won't go anything smaller than a 2,000. If the rod still feels balanced with a 3,000, I'll go with that, just so I got that extra room or that extra line on the spool to cut off if that happens. So,
yep, I got you. I personally like 500 and 1,000 series. The companies don't make the 1,500 series much anymore. They go to 2,000, and for the most part, they're a little heavy for my life. But I would rather have that than one that didn't hold enough.
That's another reason why I like longer fishing poles too. You know, the longer it is, the more weight there is out in front, and that'll accommodate balancing a larger reel out as well. Yep. So I'm happy with the 7s and the 7.5 footers. So
no clear braided line, JG, not that I'm aware of.
They do sell the stuff they call camouflage, which is usually green or like a green with lighter green in there. But yeah, it should be fine. If you're using braid and you're using braid for, let's say, panfish, if anything, use a leader if it bothers you that much. Yeah. One of the reasons when I'm pan fishing is I use mono is because I don't want to have to tie leaders, to be honest. It's easier not to. So
thanks, Joe.
Later, Joe Buck. Joe Buck's a channel supporter. Thanks for coming in, Joe. If I missed saying hello to you, I think I did. I apologize, my friend.
I like for catfish and stuff, I like a heavy leader on my braid. For panfish and stuff, I try to run pretty close to the same because I want to break off. I don't want to sit there and stick with it very long. If it's hung up or you're gonna have to break off, I'd rather be easy to break off and have to fight it too hard.
My walleye gear, I run 20-pound braid on my walleye high vis because I like being I'm getting old. I ain't gonna lie. Everybody reminds me of it all the time, so it's true. But I like to be able to see the line in the water, and I'll tie like a 10-pound fluoro or an 8-pound fluoro leader on it. I do a direct tie. I use the Albright knot, which works pretty good. It's kind of a pain in the butt to tie in the wind if you're out in the boat, but it is what it is. I'm getting pretty good at tying that sucker. So what knots do you like to use, Lyle? What are your go-to knots?
Palomar knot number one. I can't think of the name of the other one I use a lot. The Albright knot somewhat. I use dang, I can't think of them.
I use for catfishing, obviously I use the no knot Snell. It works out for me.
It at all.
It works well for me. I know there's offshoots of it too, but for the size of fish that I have here, I don't have 100-pound fish to catch. It seems to work really well. So I'm able to tie them up really quick. There is the modified no knot Snell that actually has like an egg loop in there that you put around the hook that I've seen Doc Lang tie in a couple videos a while back. I would probably trust something like that too with 100-pound fish. So there's the Albright knot, the fisherman's knot I use. what's that other knot called? We're probably thinking of the same one, where you kind of put the line through the eye and you fold it over into a loop and then you wrap around through the inside of the
That's the
loop.
one I use.
Yeah, those are my go-to knots. So
I
I'm
can't
sure.
think of the names of them right now, but Doc and I was with another kid one night in a room in a motel, and we was showing each other how to tie the snell knots that we use. And I showed them guys, one of them was using the no snell knots. This is the reason you don't. And if you take it and just push like that, freaking thing will come all apart on it. I've had them reach down to pick them up out of a bag to put them on, and they're just all over the place. That was the last one of them I ever tied. Never went back to them. The one I use never comes undone, holds forever, and all of the pull is against the wraps. It has nothing to do with anything else. And I have great success with it. And Doc and I basically tie the same one. He's got one little thing he does different on his than I do mine. Other than that, they're identical.
Maybe we'll have to have you show us. Maybe we'll make a short of that for everybody.
Absolutely, we can do that.
For the channel. I think we should do that. So
Yep.
if you'll go ahead and videotape that, I'll edit it down to a short and then we can get that posted up on the channel. So
yep, we can do that.
You got anything else for us, Lyle?
I do not, buddy.
I'm pretty much out of information. I don't have all that much, but I'll share what I know or can come up with. So
well, we turned them on to a lot of stuff tonight and a lot of different things that they can go for as far as pan fishing and different things. And I'd say get out while the getting's good for the next week and a half or so and get everything you can get.
I think I'm definitely think I'm going to get out there. I might get out there and do a little walleye fishing and some crappie fishing out on the chain. Ryan probably has a good idea where I'm going to go. So I'll probably hit Piscifun. I'll probably hit the there's a couple of spots. I hit the channels, probably hit Piscifun for some crappie and see if they're in the channels there. And we'll go from there. It should be fun.
That's right. Be sure to check out Chad and the guys tomorrow night over on the bait shop. Be something going on this weekend. Monday night Catfish Weekly, and then we'll be back next Wednesday.
Yep, we got, and on Friday we got Stan and Jody as always. So
they'll be there. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week.
Have a great one.